Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvina Vadhetamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayoslitva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Welcome to everybody for today's talk by Swami Bodhamayananda ji. When we organized this webinar, we took up 5 important themes on this webinar, which was captioned Fascinating Facets of the Multi-Faceted Yoga. So we divided the entire theme into 5 parts: yoga philosophy, yoga psychology, yoga science, yoga technology, and yoga for daily life. So we finished the first 4, and yoga technology, interesting discussions on artificial intelligence, and can technology actually deliver in terms of exploring the inner world of consciousness from NIMHANS in Bangalore, from National Institute of Technology in Durgapur, and so on. Now we are launching into yoga for daily life, and Swami Bodhamayananda ji has been requested to talk about yoga for youth. Swami Vivekananda said, this is the time the youth, Asishto, Dridishto, Balishta, those who are young, energetic, yoga is for them. Funnily, we say Vedanta is for people who have no danta. Vedanta. That means when the teeth fall off, when they become old, you try to practice yoga and Vedanta. But Swami Vivekananda repeatedly said yoga is for people who are energetic and young. And Swami Bodhamayananda is a well-known youth inspirer. He has been in charge as the director of the Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence in Hyderabad for a very long time. Now he recently has taken charge of the Ramakrishna Order at Hyderabad at Vizag, Visakhapatnam, and he is eminently suited to talk on this topic, yoga for youth. So we request Swami Bodhamayananda ji to deliver his talk. Maharaj, the floor is now yours.
Pranam. Now, what is this one up to 7 time?
7.
Time up to 7, Maharaj?
Up to 7.
Okay. Om Asato ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrutyorma Mrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Tejosi Tejo Mayi Dehi. Viryamasi Viryam Mayi Dehi. Balamasi Balam Mayi Dehi. Ojosi Ojo Mayi Dehi. Manyurasi Manyum Mayi Dehi. Sahosi Saho Mayi Dehi. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayah. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. My humble salutations, pranams to revered Atma Priyanji Maharaj, Secretary of the Ramakrishna Mission University in Belur Math, called RKM Very Vivekananda Education Research Institute, for inviting me to speak. It's indeed a great blessing to interact and to share some thoughts on yoga and the youth, focused on the youth, how the traditional yoga and the yogasanas per se can help them, can make a difference in their personal life, as a series of webinars in connection with the International Yoga Day, which is coming up within a short time next week. So this particular topic is of great interest to everybody nowadays. Since the last time when the International Yoga Day was declared, the June 21st, it created a fervor, it created enthusiasm, it created new thought process in the mind of all sections of the society. And with the Swami Vivekananda as the pioneer of yoga, pioneer of youth power, who energized, who gave a new twist to the philosophy of Vedanta in daily life. So after 2 years of this pandemic, and still undergoing a lot of tension and pressure from the health point of view, still in the webinar mode, we are organizing these programs through the Vivekananda University, deemed to be university, etc. So the young India, the first point that I would like to focus in the short time available is whether they are the doctors, the engineers, whether they are CEOs, the scientists, the sports personalities, are all very young people nowadays who are taking responsibilities, who are participating in research, participating in athletics, participating in adventure, in business. So many young people. As we know, 65% of the youth population of the country's population is youth. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari and Gujarat to the Northeast, we find lakhs of people coming out of the universities and entering into the business world, entering into the social work. So this is a very interesting, very inspiring news that we have, the dividend that we have, which Swami Vivekananda recognized 125 years ago, before he went to America and later coming back from America. Through his lectures from Colombo to Almora, his focus, he insisted on the youth participating in rebuilding the nation. My faith is in the younger generation, the modern generation. Out of them will come my workers, and they will solve the problems like lions. I shall send them like irresistible waves through the length and breadth of the country, preaching the gospel of salvation, the gospel of equality, the gospel of social raising up, wiping the widow's tears, feeding the orphan's mouth. These were some of the visions and missions of Swamiji. And one more thing he had mentioned several times is, my mission in life is to help mankind manifest their divinity in every moment of their life. This is a very pertinent, very important, very subtle, very inspiring teaching of Swamiji. He said, my mission in life. So when we talk about yoga, when we talk about youth, we have to keep these messages, Swamiji, in perspective and lead our country forward. So at the same time, when there is progress on the one side, there is regress also, there is digression also, because of the complexities, because of the kind of facilities that modern man has. It is as if after COVID or post-COVID, pre-COVID, we find we were all going at a very high speed, and what happened? Suddenly there is a block. Suddenly there is lockdown, unexpected, unthought of, unprepared. Though the health sector took a beating through lakhs of deaths all over the country and the world also, but the mind of the people now are being exposed. Lack of training in yoga, in discipline, in purity, in concentration. People are suffering today from schizophrenia, from paranoia, from depression, and so many other mental ailments which the psychiatrists are dumbfounded. I've been talking with many psychologists, many psychiatrists in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, and in Visakhapatnam and other places. They say these are not heard of last 5-10 years. A sudden boom of negativity coming, frustration, depression, aggression, the violence that we are seeing today in the name of religion, the violence that we see in the name of riots and personal violence, killing oneself, drug addictions, is all the complexities of the modern life. As some of you know, might have heard of the great example of the Samudra Mantra, the significance of the Samudra Mantra. I refer to this in many of the programs when dealing with the youth, is what the Devas and the Asuras were churning the milky ocean for gaining Amrita. because that was the only way they can become immortal, they can become all-powerful. Out of the hard work, the stories say, the Puranas say, that so many Ratna, so many jewels came out. Uchchaishravas, Mahalakshmi, Airavatam, Tanvantri, so on and so forth. But neither the two armies, the Asuras and the Devas, kept quiet. They went on churning and churning. Finally, Hala Hala Trikuta, the terrible poison threatening to destroy the three worlds, sprouted up from the atmosphere. And only Mahadeva Shiva has to come down from his meditation and drink the poison. And because of his infinite personality, Mahadeva, the divine personality that he was, the poison gets locked up in his throat and becomes blue in color. And people hail him today as Nilakanta, the blue-throated one. So what is Dushana for the world became Bhushana for the infinite personality. So similarly, Swami Vivekananda has advised, has given us this message of imbibing the spirit of yoga, spirit of Vedanta in our daily life and expanding our personality. Atma Vikas, Atma Vikas, Atma Vikas, that is the call of Vedanta, call of the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads. Expansion is life, contraction is death. But unfortunately, due to wrong training, due to finding the truth in the wrong place at the right time, we find the youth exposed to this negativity, to this poison. Nobody denies the fact today. Animosities, jealousies, hatred, violence, crimes, murders, all this is very apparent, very clear through the media. And people are suffering day in and day out. Recently, I'd been to one of the colleges. They say even the parents are succumbing to that pressure. Parents are questioning what right has the principal? What right has the management to do with the personal life of my child, of my daughter, of my son? Parents are supposed to guard the child, take care, give him the nutrition, give him the energy, give him the good direction in life, positive direction, but they are questioning the management. Principals are dumbfounded. These fellows come with so much of arrogance, so much of agony, so much of pain in life. They are not able to attend the classes. They're not able to do their assignments in time. They have cutthroat competition. They have instinct, instant gratification. They want everything in a quick. And now we have the corruption in the education system where certificates are sold. Nearly the Tribune newspaper magazine says 55,000 certificates were awarded out of lakhs and lakhs of rupees being siphoned off from the people. So this is all the negative aspect of life that we are experiencing. But when we see the facilities available to modern man, the whole world has become a global village. We're able to talk about yoga, talk about Vedanta, talk about so many other things through the webinar, through the Zoom facilities available, which were not thought of a few years ago. So on the one hand, development, on the one hand, there is destruction. On the one hand, there is marching forward. Economy is booming back to what it was a couple of years ago. On the other hand, we have got the malpractices and the corruption. So I would like to stress upon this, the crime, the addiction, the unsatisfactory lifestyle in the youth. This is creating havoc in the personal life and in the national life also. The earlier, the better. After the new education policy and the other activities that we have through the Ramakrishna Mission institution centers, where Balavikas is there, where the Human Excellence Institutes are there, weekly classes for the youth are there. But we have to keep in mind the aspect of yoga, yes, when we are dealing with the youth. What exactly is yoga? Normally understood, International Yoga Day, perform some Surya Namaskarams, some pranayamas, some mudras, and then that is it. We think we are great yogis. But Swami Vivekananda insisted that yogic lifestyle, when we speak of Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, we have 8 steps, Yama Niyama, the basics, the fundamentals, which each has got 5 different branches. Many of the students, youth are aware of it. It's available in the net, available through the books and through the yoga classes. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. That is the Yama, the mental discipline. Then we have the Shama, the Dhamma, the physical discipline. What is that physical discipline? Again, Patanjali Maharshi comes to the rescue and says, Shaucha, Santosha, Swadhyaya, Tapas, Ishvara Pranidhana. Unless and until the youth are qualified in this or trained in this, how are they going to control their body, control their emotions, control their behavior inside out? whether they are with the family, with friends, in the library or in the playground, in the business or in life or in meditation. It's not possible. It is next to impossible. When we give so much of effort in studying for an exam, or when the youth are some adventure seekers like the climbing Mount Everest and swimming across the English Channel, so on and so forth, how much of effort, how much of pain, how much of time, how much of training that they take. But when it comes to yoga, they just restrict themselves to a little few Surya Namaskarams, pranayamas, and mudras, and they can do whatever they like. So that doesn't work. That doesn't serve the purpose. It is not at all advisable for the youth to just restrict the yoga philosophy to physical feats. This is a wrong understanding even now, in spite of so much of information being given to them through media, through television, through the yoga classes in schools and colleges. So Yama Niyama is very, very important. This is my sincere request to all the youth participating in this webinar and elsewhere, through your friends, through you to your friends and colleagues and classmates and relatives, to insist upon Yama Niyama. That makes life stable. That makes life pure, purposeful, and calm, free from tension, stress, anxiety, etc. And then Patanjali Maharshi comes to the point is asana, physical exercises. Thousands of asanas are there. Intricate asanas are there. International yoga competitions are there. Some of the people from India participate, and people from Korea, people from China, people from Japan. They are wonderful yoga practitioners. They twist their body like a towel. There's so much adapted to this kind of yogasanas. And Patanjali Maharshi gives the definitions, Sthira Sukha Asana. That is the body control. Even yoga is introduced in football, in cricket, in tennis, in badminton, and so many other fields yoga is introduced today, so that the physical fitness, the flexibility of the muscles, the strength of the nerves, the free flow of the blood system, the digestion would improve through the yogasanas person. Then pranayama. That itself is a great science. In that we have so many this has been popularized, as you all know, by Ramdev Babaji through his yoga classes, the Bastrika Pranayama, Kapalabhati, Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, so on and so forth, and the different mudras, 15 mudras, which are advocated by Patanjali Maharshi and popularized by B.K. Iyengar and other people in this country and abroad also. So then we have Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, which is the 7th step in yoga. People just try to bypass all these and then sit for 1 hour or 2 hours morning and evening and say, oh, I'm not able to concentrate, or I'm not able to meditate, I'm not able to have peace of mind. How will they get peace of mind? How will they get high degree of concentration? And the basic purity is missing. Today we talk about recycling plastic, recycling garbage, purifying water, so on and so forth at the external level. But the students forget, the education forgets, the elders forget that there is recycling of the mind, which is more important than anything else. Once the recycling of the mind takes care, I think the students will be free from tensions, worries, etc. The mind becomes their guru. The mind becomes their lighthouse. Their mind becomes their margadarshak, and it says, stop, this is enough, you are going in the wrong direction. So there is an indicator. There is a instrument inside which says, go slow, or go in the proper direction, or stabilize yourself, or discipline yourself. So this third point, which I would like to share with all of you, is the knowledge which the students are getting today. Knowledge boom, as they say, knowledge explosion, as it is called. What is that? One is the Bahirmukhi, another is the Antarmukhi. Bahirmukhi is the technology, is the webinars, is the instruments, is the mobility, is the vehicles, and everything that we have as far as technology is concerned. And Swami Vivekananda, in one of the educational philosophies, says, from childhood upwards, we have been trained to handle the external mechanism. That is why man is not able to manage the internal mechanism. He has failed miserably in this. In one of his meditation classes in Detroit, Swamiji mentions this fact. 90% of the thought force is wasted by the ordinary human being. I repeat, 90% of the thought force is wasted by the ordinary human being. That is why man is committing blunders. The trained man or mind never makes a mistake. Look at the last sentence. The trained man or mind never makes a mistake. The untrained mind is throwing bombshells of hatred, jealousy, animosity, and crimes into the society. And it's the mind which is the cause of all this. So Patanjali Maharshi has put pratyahara there. The scattered mind should become concentrated mind. Refer to the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yato yato nischarati manas chanchalam asthiram tatastato niyamyaitat atmani eva vasham nayet. Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, and through Arjuna to each one of us and to the youth of India, yato yato nischarati manas chanchalam asthiram. For whatever reason, the mind is chanchalam, the mind is asthiram, it is not in one place, it is restless. Whatsoever reason. Is it the products? Is it the external glamour that we are seeing and the mind gets stuck up there for the youth? And once you know, once the awareness is there, that the mind is stuck up in a particular place or a person or a thing or any kind of aggression, tatastato niyamyaitat. It's a very beautiful concept in Dhyana Yoga, Atma Sanyama Yoga, called the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Tatastato niyamyaitat atmani eva vasham nayet. What does the yogi do? From that particular junction, when he is aware that it is in the market, that it is aware that it is stuck up in the movie, stuck up in some other external issues, by niyama, by discipline, he brings it back and fixes it in the Atman. Atmani eva vasham nayet. This is what real yoga will help the students or the youth to take a higher path, to make their life more purposeful, more stable, more peaceful. End of the day, that is what we need. Happiness. Should be able to sleep with happiness. We should be able to meditate with happiness. We should be able to digest our food with happiness. But everything is like a mirage today. Very unfortunate. So from Bahirmukhi, yoga will help the student to become Antarmukhi. Write it down in your what you call in your room, in your table, in your every aspect of life. Antarmukhi bhava, Antarmukhi bhava. Oh my mind, turn the senses inward. How long will you go outside like a wild horse, like a mad bull, destroying everything or trying to grab everything? End of the day, in the evenings, in the mornings, I suggest to the youth, please dive deep inside, at least for 30 minutes, at least for 40 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, as much capacity, as much of stability that you have. Please follow this. Antarmukhi bhava. As you know, one of the definitions of yoga is yuj samadhav. Panini grammar says yuj samadhav, which is concentration. The other definition of yoga in Vedanta, we follow it, is yujer yoge. That is the union, the Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam is yoga. From the state that man is stuck up, from the bodily state, from the Muladhara till the Sahasrara, what is this? The spiritual evolution. At one time, we were all called animals. Even now, the Western scholars, the Western philosophers say man is a political animal. Man is an economic animal. Man is a social animal. But the Vedanta says, Amritasya putraha. Where is the animal here? You are a child of immortal bliss. As some of you know who have read Swamiji's teachings, Swamiji's lectures in Chicago and other places, on 19 September, he has awakened the whole nation, whole world to this concept of Vedanta and yoga. Say, the Hindu refuses to call you a sinner. A Hindu refuses to call you, you are just a tiny body-mind complex. You are a child of immortal bliss. And he quotes from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Shunvanta Vishve Amritasya Putraha Aye Dhamani Divyani Tastuhu Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parasthat Tameva Viditva Atimrutyumeti Nanyah Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. A great sage somewhere in some part of the Himalayas or the Narmada or Ganga, we do not know. He exclaims, he shares his entire joy of meditation and experience with the whole world. He did not keep it to himself. He did not keep it to his community, region, or caste. He said, Vishwe, please listen to me. Who are you? Children of immortal bliss. And Swami says, allow me to call you brethren by that sweet name, children of immortal bliss. You are not sheep, you are lions, spirits, eternal, blessed, and be free. That is your real nature. So this is what Antarmukhi Bhava in yoga does to the youth of our country and the world also. The next point that I would like to share, apart from the concentration, apart from pratyahara, are you or are the youth, 5 people, 10 people, able to keep their mind focused on a particular work, a book, a painting, a music, a kind of things? It is for the small minority that it is what you call, it is just segregated. A minority of people are doing it. The large mass of the youth population are scattered, disturbed, and running behind the mirage. Or sometimes once they don't get it, they get into fear, they start complaining, and things become out of control. Apart from the concentration, pratyahara, mind control, willpower, whether the Ichha Shakti, whether it is the Ekagrata, whether it is the control of the emotions. Again, let me refer back to what Swamiji says in the, well, he has explained in the Kathopanishad. In lectures on Gnana Yoga, he comes as Yama is telling young Nachiketa, Atmanam Rathinam Vitti, Shariram Rathamevatu, Buddhim tu Saratam Vitti, Manah Pragrahamevacha, Indriyani Hayanahu, Vishayam Steshu Gocharan. Look at the kind of yogic tradition, the Vedantic tradition that we have got from the Upanishads and from the Bhagavad Gita. This is real yoga in daily life, yoga for the youth. Then it is easy for them to identify where the problem is, where they are stuck up, where is the confusion. Atmanam Rathi, the Atman, the inner self, is the owner of this body. And this body is the chariot, Shariram Ratha. And if the Ratha is having a broken axle, a broken wheel, or a wrong engine, or a non-functioning engine, what will be the condition of the journey? It will be chaos. It will just take up. It will not go forward even 1 inch. As even a car or a bike or a cycle, the wheels have to be good. There should be axle. There is equal pressure. Everything fine. So Shariram Ratha, take care of the body. Take care of your health. Take care of your digestion. Today we have fast food and slow digestion. We're going 1 step forward, 5 steps back. It's saddening to see hundreds and hundreds of young people going to the psychiatrist or going to a cardiologist, sometimes overworking, overdoing the exercise, or trying to satisfy their appetite by so many fast foods, etc., and suffering. Crores of rupees is spent in the health sector by the parents and by the elders. This is where we have to give this knowledge to our youth and our own country today. High time. So this self-knowledge is very, very important apart from his technical knowledge. Let us go back to what Swami Vivekananda has given the definition of real yoga, real freedom, real religion. Again, many of you participating in this webinar or connected with our centers and activities will understand the introduction of Raja Yoga. Introduction to the Raja Yoga of Swami Vivekananda, where he says, each soul is potentially divine. Is oft quoted, very famous and very clear. Who are you? Who am I? Amritasya Putraha. And what Swamiji says in English, potential divinity. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, internal and external. Do this either by work or worship or psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Other things are secondary details, whether it's temples, whether books, their forms, whether it's rituals, all are secondary details. But what is the primary? What is the most important thing? To be free. That is what we are celebrating in India through the government and many of the Ramakrishna mission centers is Azadi, AmritMahotsav. That was the call of Swami Vivekananda when he first time he broadcasted the Upanishadic message of Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapyavara, Nibodhata, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached, especially in the lecture in Kumbakonam, in Tamil Nadu, called the Mission of Vedanta. Swamiji there he says about the yoga, about Vedanta, about this divinity, teach yourself, teach everyone his or her real nature. Call upon the sleeping soul and see how it awakes. Power will come, glory will come, goodness will come, purity will come. Everything that is excellent will come when the sleeping soul is roused to self-conscious activity. And when it came to this yoga, Raja Yoga, this one, Swamiji has categorically cleared the mind, is put it in the mind like a child being taught by his mother or teacher. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, internal and external. Then let me go back to that shloka, Shariram Ratha, Atma Rathi. And that Ratha needs a chariot. Yamadharmaraja is telling young Nachiketa, Buddhim tu saratim vidhi. Know that your buddhi is the sarathi, the driver, the awakened buddhi, that pure buddhi. And then the buddhi is holding the mind. Manah pragrahamevacha. Indriyani hayanahu. The indriyas, the five indriyas, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch. These are the horses. We have a 5 HP, powerful HP engine to take us forward. But the wild horses should become trained horses. They will be trained by the mind, and mind will get the direction from the buddhi, and buddhi is taking the atma forward to become one with the Paramatma. So this yoga concept, this purification concept should be highlighted. How to conquer the higher self-knowledge, how to attain that higher self-knowledge of Yujir Yogi, of the higher samadhis, of the higher meditations. It is a process. It's not magic. Yoga is not magic. Even if you say yogasanas I am doing, it is a very slow process. Surya Namaskarams or Vastika Pranayamas or the different asanas that has been taught by our yoga teachers, yoga gurus since millennium, since many years. Just come down is great tradition. So the special method has been offered to us, which is called yoga. Then, due to the lot of distractions, which again bubbles up to restlessness, frustrations, leading to loss of this lot of mental energy being lost in these frustrations and depressions and mental ailments. Please refer to what I had mentioned, Swami Vivekananda's observation. 90% of our thought force is wasted by the ordinary human being. That is why man is committing blunders. So the trained man or mind never makes a mistake. What does yoga do to the youth, to the young man, to the young woman and the young professional? It makes their mind focused. It makes their mind sharp. It makes their mind pure. It makes their mind it gives a kind of dignity, a kind of value system. Without yoga, I think any amount of material success would be a real evaporation. That's what we are seeing in the youth today. So yoga helps the youth to concentrate better, and the mind, one more important point here is the mind becomes like a laser beam. This energy becomes so powerful. It can penetrate deep into the subconscious mind and lift person's dignity, person's focus and growth in daily life. The hidden power, which is very is lurking inside the subconscious mind, that is manifested through the practice of yoga. There's so much of utility, so much of power. In one of his lectures in America, Swami Vivekananda is speaking about importance of psychology. This comes in the 6th volume of the complete works. Those who are interested in this particular lecture can refer to the 6th volume, page numbers 26 to 30. Swamiji Vivekananda's lecture on importance of psychology. Couple of ideas, I shall read out what Swami Vivekananda has mentioned as far as the psychology and yoga is concerned. He says here, and
audio has gone out. Please unmute.
You got muted. Yes. I read out again since the audio was muted by accidentally. The mind uncontrolled and unguided will drag us down forever. Rend us, kill us. And the mind controlled and guided will save us, will free us. So it must be controlled, and psychology will teach us how to do it. Deep, deep within is the soul, the essential man, the Atman. Turn the mind inward and become united to that. And from that standpoint of stability, the gyrations of the mind can be watched and facts observed, which are to be found in all persons. Such facts, such data are to be found by those who go deep enough, and only by such. If you intend to study the mind, you must have systematic training. You must practice to bring the mind under your control, to attain to that consciousness from which you will be able to study the mind and remain unmoved by any of its wild gyrations. See the last paragraph which I read out. As far as yoga psychology is concerned, practicing of yoga is concerned. And here when I say practice, 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 my dear young friends, please do not think it is just the physical feats. It is not just the asanas. Asanas will help you to eat properly, digest properly, breathe properly, and make yourself fit for higher purpose. That's all is the asanas. But later, the yogic lifestyle is very, very important. As Sri Krishna again and again referred to the point called Tasmat Yogi Bhava, Tasmat Yogi Bhava, Tasmat Yogi Bhava. You must have systematic training, Swamiji says. That is the purpose of yoga. Systematic training. The 4 yogas, which Swami Vivekananda has beautifully defined and expanded and gave so many examples throughout his spreading the message in the whole world. Karma Yoga, 8 lectures. Gnana Yoga, 18 lectures. Raja Yoga, all the 8 chapters, 8 steps of yoga, then the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, then the Bhakti Yoga. So all these Swamiji's greatest contribution of yoga in daily life, yoga in especially the Indian context. The next point is the word yoga has come to be associated with physical feats, as I mentioned. This is a very worrying point. In spite of so many lectures, so many classes going on all over the country and the world, still people think that yoga, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing yoga. Again, when I say what kind of yoga, again they refer to the Surya Namaskarams. They stop there. They're not able to go a little forward and say, I am having a yogic lifestyle, a disciplined lifestyle of yama, niyama as my weapons, as my tool of great change. So yoga should bring about a change of outlook, change of one's own image. The youth should have a healthy, proper self-image of oneself and of all other things in life. So youth and yoga go together. It helps the youth to make life out of life, a new outlook of spirituality. So what is Swamiji telling? Each soul is potentially divine. It's not just being pujari or not just doing some worship in a temple. It is taking yoga into your college, into the place of work, into the court. That is what Swami Vivekananda's mission, and that was what the tradition is. Tradition was in our great country. We'll come to that in the next couple of minutes. So new outlook of life and a higher purpose. If you have read the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Dr. Viktor Frankl, you'll come across this point of higher purpose, higher purpose, higher purpose. What is the purpose of life? You should think about this question, and purpose of life is to live a life of purpose, a higher purpose, a divine purpose. That is what all these great leaders, the great musicians, the great artists that we admire, that we adore, that we award them the Padma Vibhushan, Padma Shri, the Padma other awards, Padma Awards and the Veera Chakras, they have a higher purpose. And without this higher purpose, just going around the bush, beating around the bush, or so many other activities, mundane activities are going on. So please look at the higher purpose in life, a higher goal in life. So that is what yoga will give you the guidance. The yogic lifestyle, yogic thought process will give you the guidance. Then yoga in education. There is another important thing the youth should consider. An engineer, a doctor, a chartered accountant, an artist. Today we have so many great institutions which conduct yoga, the principles of yoga in music. They call Nritya Yoga. The dance itself is a yoga. Dhyana Yoga. Then we have the painting as yoga. The debates as yoga. The gardening is a yoga. So in everyday life, this yoga takes a very big step. So at a time when the low quality of education is disturbing, yoga fills up the gap. Yoga philosophy, yoga psychology fills up the gap. Here, when I say the low quality of education is disturbing, it's not the subjects, it's not the what you call the teaching, infrastructure, the syllabus, the subjects are all excellent, but the inability of the students, inability of the youth to grasp higher purpose. As I said, it's not a blank statement that I'm making. There are wonderful people in Indian Institute of Science or in NITs or in the IITs and the IIMs, but the majority are not able to make an impression in the national life because there is no proper training. There's no system in their daily life. The purpose is missing. Yoga fills up that gap. So along with yogasanas, this karma yoga, gnana yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, abhyasa yoga, ananya yoga of the Bhagavad Gita, if that is imparted, I think the students will, the youth will be very powerful, and Vivekananda's vision of India becoming the Jagat Guru, India becoming the Messiah of the masses will be fulfilled. It will become a talk of the town, and that will see the light at the end of the tunnel. So yoga, education is yoga again. You are a scientist, take it as a yoga, take it as a sadhana. Here yoga is sadhana. When we hear to the scholars, when we hear to the elderly monks of the Ramakrishna Order, they say that Arjuna's problem itself is what? A yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. That gave a key, that gave a platform, a launching platform for Sri Krishna to teach Sankhya Yoga, the second chapter, Karma Yoga, the third chapter, Gnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, the fourth chapter. So all that is, everything is yoga. Your bhakti is yoga. Your dhyana is yoga. Then we have Purushottama Yoga, the 15th chapter. And the three gunas, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So that is a very interesting interesting topic that we have got from the scriptures through Shankara, through Vivekananda, and to all of us. So the education as yoga. Let us go back to the ancient times, to the Gurukulas, where we have Satyakama Jabala, we have Nachiketa, we have so many Shwetaketu, and so many young people. They were all youth, 12 years, 14 years, 15 years, 18 years, young people who are asking the most sublime questions, the most powerful questions, and the more deep questions of higher consciousness, of creation, and things like that. So Guru Gruha Vasa, Gurukula Vasa, where the teacher and student is in communion with nature day in and day out. It is also a point to be thought by the youth. It's not just the residential schools that we have today, international residential schools or the hostels. No, they're all for comfort, they are all for social security. But communion with nature again, but there are certain institutions in the Himalayas, in Andhra Pradesh, in Karnataka, where there is some amount of communion with nature, with animals, with birds, with rivers, with mountains. People just go for trekking, people just go for some rafting and things like that, but that is only for entertainment, but not from the yoga lifestyle. They come back to the place of work, again is the same person. Again, he is full of troubles, full of passions, full of anger. He is not transforming himself. He is not, he is life out of life. When I say it is the metamorphosis. It's the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. It's the milk becoming the curd. This is the transformation. This is the change that is expected. Pashutvam, Manushyatvam, Daivatvam. The change, the evolution takes place. So at the end of the Shikshana, Carl Rogers says, end of the education, the modern psychologist says, Carl Rogers, he or she becomes a fully functioning personality. Mark the word by Carl Rogers. He says, fully functioning personality. His body, that means health is taken care. His concentration, his habits, his emotions are pure, and his responsibilities are very clear. He will not deviate from truth. Satyam vada dharmanchara. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam pramaditavyam, and he becomes a great savior, a great leader in the society. It's high time that the youth take care of this particular point of yoga in education, yoga in daily life, yoga for the youth. And the more the youth participate in yoga classes, yoga lifestyle, I think the purpose of this webinar and the purpose of Swami Vivekananda's mission in life would be fulfilled, and would be great blessing for humanity. What does yoga in education do? Please mark this point. What does yoga in education do? In school, college, universities, wherever you, even in place of work. Yoga in education will remove the difference between the sacred and the secular. This has become another hangama, another big nuisance, another big block in the flow of yoga in daily life. Secular, secular, secular. Restrict yoga to asanas only. No other value system, no other philosophy, no other stories are told about great yogis in daily life. The student think yoga means just that half an hour exercise. But after Swamiji made this yoga very popular, and in recent times through the government of India, the Ayush Ministry and others, please keep in mind what Sister Nivedita has mentioned after Swamiji speaking in the whole world. After he broke that barrier, broke the difference between the sacred and the secular. What does Sister Nivedita write in the introduction to the complete works of Swami Vivekananda? Sister Nivedita, the chosen disciple of Swami Vivekananda, writes an introduction to the complete works of Vivekananda, where she writes, henceforth, that means from the time that Swami Vivekananda came to the Parliament of Religions, and later on, she says, henceforth, no distinction between the sacred and the secular. No difference between the sacred and the secular. To labor is to pray. I'll read this sentence twice, so that all the youth participating today and who will be watching later will have a clear idea of what unique contribution did Swami Vivekananda make to all of us. Henceforth, no distinction between the sacred and the secular. To labor is to pray. To conquer is to renounce. To labor is to pray. To conquer is to renounce. Life is itself a religion. Life itself is religion. To have and to hold is as turn a trust as to quit and to avoid. To have and to hold is as turn a trust as to quit and to avoid. From that time, the entire thought process changed. labor is to pray, to conquer is to renounce, life itself is religion. So this is a very unique contribution of Swamiji for all of us to make it practical and make it applicable to every youth in this great country. Whether they are the villages, whether they are in tribal areas, whether they are in towns, whether they are in the cities, doesn't matter. Youth are youth who need this medicine today, who need this training today to break the barrier between the sacred and the secular. In fact, there's nothing as secular, everything is sacred. Yoga makes everything sacred. Let it be this footwear, let it be a broomstick, let it be our vehicles. People do the puja, everything is sacred, everything is divine. Isha vasya vikam sarvam. That yoga mind, yogic mind will help you to overcome the difference between the sacred and the secular. The next point is true yoga is an inner discipline. True yoga is inner discipline. Krishna says in the 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga, Atma Sayama Yoga, Shanai Shanai Ruparamed Buddhya Dhritigrahitaya. Shanai Shanai. By slow process, by methodical process, little by little, step by step, Shanai Shanai. Shanai Shanai Ruparamed Buddhya Dhritigrahitaya. Atma Samstam Manakritva Nakinchidapi Chintayet. Don't go headlong. Don't get overexcited, overconfident, and plunge into yoga and meditation for hours together. No, that will boomerang. The mind will not be able to accept. You may have the desire, but you may not be deserving. So methodically, every day, one day at a time, and practice this yoga, the meditation, the value system. And that is how the kleshas in the mind, the obstacles in the mind can be purified, can be deleted, can be sublimated, as it were. So through self-knowledge, there will be a total transformation of oneself. And how it is done? Your daily life, as you know, the symbol of the Ramakrishna mission, the emblem which Swami Vivekananda himself designed, has got the 4 yogas inside. The swan is the Paramatma, the snake is the Kundalini Shakti, Raja Yoga, the lotus is the Bhakti Yoga, the wavy waters is the Karma Yoga, the rising sun is Gnana Yoga. By taking 1 or 2 or 4 in a systematic way, as taught from the Upanishads, from the scriptures, in the Bhagavad Gita, and through Swami Vivekananda and great teachers in modern times, many are there who are doing this wonderful work of systematically imparting this yoga, both asanas and what you call the philosophy per se, so that there will be a quick transformation, there will be sure transformation in life. So without this, I again warn, give a small note to my young friends listening and who will be thinking about this in future. Without yoga, what will happen to the youth is there will be wrong observation at any time. They will not be able to observe their own workings, their own power, their own strength inside, and they'll be lurking outside. Sri Ramakrishna says, gives a beautiful example of a man who was digging a well. After 10 feet, there was some rubbish, there were stones in the earth, and his untrained mind said there won't be any stones, water there. He went to the second place, another 10 feet. There he could not get water. Third place, 10 feet. He went on digging 10 places, 10 feet each, till a scholar, till a great man or a educated man or technical man in case, oh fool, what are you doing? Why don't you dig well of 100 feet in one place? Why are you going and jumping 10 places, 10 feet? You are wasting your time, wasting your energy. Yoga will help the student to find the truth in the right place at the right time. This is for sure. So the approach is inside out. Health is important sector today, important factor today. The pollution and the atmosphere changes and the infections and the virus is taking toll of daily life. That also yogasanas or other things will take care of it. But more important is the mind, which is the tool of all worries and all success. So here our observation is faulty, or it becomes faulty. Then the conclusions in our daily life will be wrong, judgments will be wrong. So yoga will help you to clear that cobwebs in the mind. So that is how this we rise from the tamo guna to rajo guna, from rajo guna to the sattva guna. Yoga philosophy, yoga psychology, yogasanas will help you to overcome your laziness, your procrastination, your bad habits. That is called the tamoguna. From there you rise to rajoguna. Rajoguna here, negative aspect is restlessness, short temper. That's all described in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I'm not going to the details of it. But when you are continuing with yoga practice, with discipline, with love, with faith, that mind will rise to the level of sattva guna. Calmness, pure, cool judgment, dignified, and he will be very, very gentlemanly like. At the same time, he will be working. Raja Rishi concept is what yoga. Rajanascha Rishayascha Raja Rishi. Inside out concept. Inside is a sage. He'll be having a shock absorber. He will not succumb to pressures. The yogi, the man at work will not succumb to pressures. He will have a shock absorber. So this life journey will be so smooth. And at the end of the day is what Atma Vikas is all about. We go forward in understanding these truths. So by yoga, what happens is, there's a beautiful story referred to in a book called Adventures in Religious Life by Swami Yatishwarananda ji, who was the vice president of the Ramakrishna Order, the disciple of Swami Brahmananda ji. His book Meditation and Spiritual Life is very famous. It is translated in almost every language in this country. I wish the youth would take up a copy of the book personal and go through the contents of Meditation and Spiritual Life. But the earlier book, the first book of Swami Yatishwarananda ji, was Adventures in Religious Life. And in that, there is a chapter of Indian yoga and Western psychology. He refers to one story, and I will end with that story as mentioned by Revered Swamiji there. He says, there was a story of a man who was injured in a streetcar accident. He had to use crutches under the direction of the doctor. There's big problem, fracture in his legs. So he takes up crutches, and the doctor's advice is use the crutches. And after some time, once you are fit physically, you can give up this crutches and be free. But there is a dispute in the court. The company in which he is working or this accident has to repay. Then the lawyer will not allow this person to leave the crutches. The doctor says, give up the crutches. The lawyer says, don't give up the crutches. He is caught in this mess between the lawyer and the doctor. My doctor says I can, but my lawyer says I cannot give up the crutches. So the doctor in us, Swami Yatishwarananda says, the doctor in us wishes us to face the realities of life. The lawyer advises us to run away from the problems. So whom do you choose, the lawyer or the doctor? Yoga is the doctor. Yoga philosophy, yoga psychology, yogasanas tells you to be free from these crutches, free from the other negativity in the mind or the tendencies or the evil impulses in the subconscious mind, and be free, be free, be free. So this is what I'd like to share with you this evening. It's a very vast subject. As you have Revered Maharaj said, Atmapriya said, different factor, different aspects of yoga has been taken. So this particular week will be yoga in daily life, and the youth who are the prime factor of change, transformation, development of the country, inside out, both personal and national. It would do a lot of good to them to practice yogasanas. Yes, that goes without saying. But the 4 yogas of Swami Vivekananda and the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, if they are practicing and learning from others, I think the IITs and the IIMs and other institutions bringing out the best minds of India would also become great yogis, free from the 6 Shadripus, as they say, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. They will reduce their pressure. They will reduce their impact in daily life. And man evolves from Pashutvam to Manushyatvam and Manushyatvam to Daivatvam. May Sri Ramakrishna, may Swami Vivekananda and the great Acharyas help us to help the youth, help all of us in this life journey to make our country peaceful and our life also blessed and divine. Thank you. Namaste to everybody.
Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. We're extremely thankful to Swami Bodhamayananda for his excellent exposition. Simple, direct, meaningful, and practicable in daily life is the most important. None of these great disciplines taught by our rishis are theoretical or philosophical. Rishis did not talk philosophy or metaphysics or not even religion or philosophy. They just asked certain simple questions of our daily experience and got very profound answers. And they have documented it, and it's called the Vedas and the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. So thank you, Swami Bodhamayananda ji, for this excellent exposition. And tomorrow we'll have Swami Kaleshananda ji speaking about yogic way of life, particularly in the modern age. So we'll have a few more days till the 21st of June, and we'll have a series on Swami Vivekananda's 4 yogas. Swami Sarvapriyananda from New York will speak about the Jnana Yoga. Swami Artha Shraddhananda from Kanpur will speak about Bhakti Yoga. And Swami Kaleshananda again will talk about the Raja Yoga. And 3 scholars who are doing their PhD, 3 girls. One will speak about Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga in the light of the Western philosophical thought, particularly Kant and Bradley. And the other scholar will speak about Swami Vivekananda's Bhakti Yoga in the light of Christian mystics' love of God, how they actually practice love of God. And lastly, there will be a talk by their guide, supervisor, on the 4 yogas of Swamiji, their synthesis, and why Swami Vivekananda emphasized the synthesis of the 4 yogas as the most important aspect of this yoga in the modern age. So 21st, we have the International Day of Yoga. So many programs are lined up. The huge awakening all over the world in the name of yoga, which is very encouraging. And as Bodhamayananda pointed out, the real spirit of yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga, not the Shashtanga Yoga, leaving out the Yama Niyama. So thank you so much, Swami Bodhamayananda ji.
Thank you, Maharaj. Pranam. A great opportunity.